You want to hear something funny? Even if you say no, I'm still gonna tell you like your Uncle Leo. When Lexus dropped off this new IS to me the other day, I thought this was the 4th gen IS, only to figure out that through my research, this is still the 3rd gen. And before any of you start priming your keyboards, I did know that this was just a heavy refresh. But that makes me think, is this an old man in disguise? When Lexus first introduced the IS in 2000 for the 2001 model year, it was intended to be a fun to drive and nimble and also more reliable E46 BMW 3 Series competitor. I would say it succeeded. So this IS in particular is the 2023 IS350 F-Sport with the F-Sport handling package painted in atomic silver. I do like atomic silver, and I know looks are subjective, and atomic silver does show the lines of the car, but this is not one of my favorite colors on the IS. Also, IS350s now just come as F-Sport, so there's no luxury spec IS350. This one, since it has the F-Sport handling package, comes with adjustable drive modes, adaptive dampers, and also these BBS wheels. This one also has a plethora of options, including the triple beam headlights, the 360 camera, and a few other things that brings the MSRP to this IS to $55,000. Yep, $55,000. This may cause some controversy, especially in the comments and my friends on Facebook, but this is still a 3rd gen IS. This has been heavily revamped for the 2021 model year, but it still is the same car with the old bones. Compared to the 3 Series, A4, G70, C-Class, and all the other things it competes with, that is not good. Unlike the ISs from yesteryear, the new IS, especially in 350 trim, only has 2 different wheel options. They're both 19s, but the base IS 350 F-Sport comes with a different style 19-inch wheel, but this one has these optional BBS wheels which go for $2,100, but I'm not much of a fan of them. The tires are staggered though. The fronts are 235s and the rears are 265s, and yes, this is an all-wheel drive. Lexus offers the new IS in a few different flavors. The base IS 300 does not come with the 2J, and it's not even a 3-liter, it's a 2-liter turbo. The IS 300 all-wheel drive comes with a V6, but it's a 3.5-liter V6. We'll talk about the IS 350, but above this is the IS 500. The only 2 ISs that seem to actually mean something in the name are the 350 and the 500, because the 300 uses a 2-liter and a 3.5. Weird. So the IS350 uses the 2GR FKS. It's a 3.5-liter dual overhead cam V6 that is port and direct injected. It makes 311 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Because this is an all-wheel drive model, it uses a 6-speed automatic transmission. It's an old transmission. The rear-wheel drive IS350 uses a new 8-speed transmission, which is supposed to perform better than this. In my week of testing, I've seen about 21 mpg, which isn't too far off from Lexus's 19 city, 26 highway, and 22 combined rating. If you know anything about 2GR engines, you'll know that the 2GR 3.5-liter V6, not the exact same one in this one, but the predecessor to this engine, has been around since 2004 or 2005. Even if it's old, it's good because it's reliable, it has smooth power and good power. And I have to say, I am glad that Lexus is still using a naturally aspirated V6 for their mid-trim option instead of a boring 2-liter turbo. Everyone's doing a 2-liter turbo. Now the IS uses the same all-wheel drive system that the old GS350 used. Rest in peace. That was a good car. Most of the time, it'll split power 70 rear, 30 front, or if you're in inclement weather or if there's some wheel spin, it can do 50 front, 50 rear using a center differential. Somewhere else that the IS's archaic bones are a bit evident is trunk space. Now, the BMW 3 Series, in my research, I was really surprised. The 3 Series sedan has up to 17 cubic feet of volume. The Audi A4 has about 12.5 cubic feet of volume. Now we'll get to the IS. First of all, you can either open the trunk with the button on the interior the key fob by pressing and holding the button, or right under the Lexus emblem, there's a little button, which is quite handy. So the trunk may seem big, and it seems big to me too, but it's only 10.8 cubic feet of volume. And if you've watched my IS versus IS comparison, the original IS 300 was 10.1 cubic feet. It is usable space, especially if you're just one or two people. However, it does have a 60-40 split rear seat. I'm also happy to say that unlike a lot of its competition, the IS still offers a spare tire. It is a donut. I wouldn't expect a full-size spare, but thankfully you don't get given like a pat on the back, a sticker to call, well, a phone number to call, and a can of Fix-A-Flat and a pump that'll die filling up one tire. That's not happened to me, but that can happen to you. I don't wish it to happen to you though. One of the compromises to me with getting one of these smaller sedans is rear seat room. Now, I'm 5'9", and it's actually not too cramped, but if you were any taller than me, like close to 6 foot, you'd not fit in here, at least comfortably. I can fit my feet under the seat pretty nicely, and the driver's seat is in my position how I sit, and I'm pretty reasonably comfortable. The seat itself isn't too firm, so it's actually pretty soft, but this is really a 4-passenger car because the drivetrain hump is huge. Headroom is okay. If I put my head back, my hair just barely rubs up against the headliner, but that's not that bad. The rear seats aren't heated, but there are 2 air vents. There's no third climate control zone available for the IS though. To compensate for no air vent, no third climate control, you have an armrest and also 2 reasonably sized cup holders. Usually people skimp out on cup holders in the back, so something good. So if you're familiar with the outgoing Lexuses, this is the key fob. This has been around for a few years, but it works and it's good. Push button start, of course. You can see the steering column is power. Now, I won't say this is exactly like the interior of a 2014 IS because there are some differences. Mostly, it's the infotainment. But starting off with the wheel, it's a 3-spoke leather-wrapped wheel. I actually like how this wheel feels. It has red stitching on the inside. There are a lot of buttons on it though. On the left side, those buttons control the Bluetooth and audio controls, and the buttons on the right side control the gauges and also the lane keep assist and the adaptive cruise control. There are also paddles on the wheel, and the headlights are automatic, and also the wipers. Now, the IS has had these gauges since it first came out back in 2014, but they are an homage to the LFA. They do move, which is cool, but there's not that much configuration in the gauges. The most that you can do is when you go in eco mode, it changes the graphics, and also in normal and sport plus. Something that surprised me about this car being $55,000 and the feature that it lacks is power folding mirrors. This doesn't have them. All 4 windows are automatic, and you have 3-person memory for the driver's seat, wheel, and mirrors. Now, speaking about the seats, holy red. This has the circuit red interior, which is available on the F-Sport. I do like the red seats and the bit of red accents, but the door panel itself has way too much red. The whole bottom side of the door is just too much red. But the seats are pretty comfortable. If you're any wider than me, you might feel a little bit constricted, especially because you can't adjust the bolsters. But the driver's seat is 8-way, and it also has 2-way lumbar, and the passenger seat is also a full 8-way, but no lumbar. The front seats are also heated and cooled. Also, the steering wheel has heat, but it's only on the 9-3 grips. So this is a weird spec of IS because it has a lot of options on it, but it has the lower end head unit. This one also uses the older version of Toyota's Entune. You can get a better head unit than this, but this one is okay. It's touchscreen now, so you don't have to solely rely on the Lexus trackpad. It supports wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but not wireless. There's not that much information on it. This one doesn't even have built-in GPS, but I'd use my phone anyway. When you put the car into reverse, you have a backup camera with a 360 view camera as well. The quality is, it's okay. I feel like it would be better on the bigger screen, but I do like that you have a 360 view camera. There's a wide view, a normal view, and there's a top-down view that shows the 360, and there's also a view that can help you line up with the curb with the front wheels, but that quality is not that good in that camera either. Down below you have dual zone climate control. This is really what looks familiar from the old IS. Thankfully, it's all hard touch buttons. There are some controls in the infotainment screen itself, but you don't have to rely on them. The only thing that I don't like are the sliders for the temperature. It just, I don't know, it feels cheap. There's also a CD player in this car, which I'm not criticizing because I still do use CDs sometimes. And this uses the Mark Levinson audio system, which sounds pretty decent, but at least in this car, I've heard better. The Lexus trackpad is now just like a mouse pad and no longer like a joystick in the older Lexus products. It works okay, but I'm so glad that it's a touchscreen, and it's a touchscreen even while you're moving. The center armrest is nicely padded and it has red stitching, but the center console, it's okay sized, but this also seems to be the only place you could put your phone. There's 2 USB ports and a power outlet in here, but just take a look at the interior. There's nowhere else beside the center console or the glove box or the cup holders to put your phone. That's a bit of an annoyance. Something that I think almost every other car in its competition offers, and this one doesn't, is a panoramic moonroof. But you do have a standard sized moonroof. So the IS has always been a car that I've kind of admired from afar, besides the first gen, because I have a lot of experience with that. Lexus did change the suspension and drivetrain just a bit, but it's not really enough to call it an overhaul. I am going to put it in Sport Plus. Like, it's good, it's quick, but like, it's fun. I mean, especially if you're used to cars that have a way lower threshold in terms of power, this will feel fast to you. But like, to me, because I've driven GS's, pretty much any 2GR FKS powered or any 2GR powered Lexus, this feels just like that. This feels just like the GS 350. I mean, this is an IS 350. It's not gonna blow you away. I am gonna go into Sport Plus. There's no one behind me. I can't do a full jaunt on my test road, but it picks up. It feels good. The 2GR doesn't have a lot of power towards the bottom, but wow, it pushes a bit. Wow, I like the intake noise that this has. This is a fun to drive car. I just can't, it sounds great. It really does sound great. But it feels like I'm driving a video game, or I'm in a video game. It just feels too easy. Like, the steering is quick, responsive, but it's not super quick. This doesn't handle, I mean, I'm not expecting this to handle like the old IS, but some of its competitors feel a little bit more lively and a little bit more intimidating in a fun way. When you do put the IS in Sport Plus though, it does stiffen up the steering a bit, and there's more NPCs going really slow. Oh my god. But it stiffens up the steering, it also firms up the dampers, and also it changes the throttle mapping, and also how the transmission shifts. It's supposed to shift a little bit quicker. But I'm gonna give us some time so I can properly experience the road. That's enough. It's very direct, but you really have to be in the paddles don't work that well. At least the upshift paddle. Goodness me. It sounds fabulous. Oh, hang on. It's a fun to drive car. The brakes are good. The IS 500, of course, will outhandle this car. Well, I don't know if it'll outhandle it because it has more power. Anyways, I'm not driving an IS 500 though, but we're gonna go on this other fun bit of road. God, this car is fast. The traction control light was coming up. On back roads, this feels fast. Actually, so I put myself in manual mode, and it's much more responsive. It is much more responsive in manual mode. If you're just trying to shift and drive, you'll be a little bit annoyed, but this is much better. Wow. So you do feel that it's a bit rear biased, but it does push. This car is about 4,000 pounds, which is heavy. Heavier than I thought it would be. Wow. Yeah, okay, so in manual mode, it does shift better. Wow. Even in its firmest setting, in Sport Plus, it's actually pretty compliant on bumps. It doesn't rattle, nothing rattles in here. Like, this car feels really well built. So you pay for that Lexus quality. It's just this thing isn't as playful as the IS used to be, and I still think that Lexus could implement those playful elements in even a brand new car. Yeah, so you can give it gas around a corner, and the rear does push, well, come out just a bit. You can feel that it's more rear-wheel drive, but it really does, the front wheels really do pull, well, push. It's a fabulous sounding car. The 2GR is a really good sounding engine, but since I'm low on gas, we can go back in normal mode and then get to the gas station. You can also notice the engine sound difference between normal mode and Sport Plus. It pumps induction noise into the interior, which actually sounds good. But this car does have some active sound control feature that I really don't like. It very much sounds like a computer. Since I'm on the way to the gas station, I can show you. I'll put myself into Sport Plus, shift down to first. It doesn't sound good. Wow. I've turned it off the whole week I've had this car. It really doesn't sound good. The normal engine without any of the fake noises sounds much better. This car also feels heavy. I'm not surprised that it's 4,000 pounds because it feels like that. Not in the way that it's like roly-poly or anything, but you just feel the weight of it. And it's not like a confidence-inspiring weight like how you'd get out of an SUV. This is just like, this bitch fat. So I'm glad that I was able to show you guys the new IS, but it doesn't really feel that new. I don't even know if they're making a next generation for IS. I'm hoping so, but we'll only see in the future. The IS that I would buy is the IS 500. That engine makes up for the older bones to me. Because if you think about it, the IS has always been a little bit behind in terms of technology. Like, let's go back to the E46 BMW 3 Series and the first IS. It's always lacked a little bit in features, but it's been an excellent driving car. This 350 is more of a daily driver than a weekend cruiser. Unfortunately, as much as I like Toyota and Lexus, I would personally look at other cars over a 350, but the 500 is in a league of its own. Before I start talking even more about ISs and IS 500s and all the numbers and names that these cars have, thank you for watching this video. I have an IS versus IS comparison video that should be out before you see this video, but thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and thank you for joining me on this drive with this 2023 Lexus IS 350 F Sport. Bye, peeps.